Hi, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of Whole Step Ahead podcast. Well, where we keep you listen. Forget all of that. We finna explain these icks.
As y'all know, last week or 2 weeks ago?
No, it was last week.
Last week, we posted a TikTok video
Yes.
on the Icks of Childcare.
Yes.
We did not, when we posted it, we did not think, like literally, we did not think it was going to get as big as it did. We thought we get about 500 views, maybe some likes, maybe a little bit of comments, and that's all. We were not expecting
we were not expecting the response. We weren't expecting the numbers, the backlash, the questions. So we're here to explain our icks for you all.
We're going to explain them in depth.
Right. Because there are some misconceptions, there are some assumptions, and we just want to clear everything up so y'all can understand a little bit about childcare and a little bit about your childcare providers that you may be choosing and you may be looking for, where your children are, where they could be, and how things are just from our point of view. So
this is mostly for parents, especially the parents in our comments on the TikTok. Hopefully you guys can y'all will watch this and kind of understand it and maybe get a better understanding of why centers have the rules and regulations that we do, and why they're icks when parents don't follow them. That was the whole point. It wasn't to be offensive. We didn't get fired. It wasn't nothing like we wasn't doing it like for clout or whatever y'all was saying.
We literally are just trying to get y'all to watch our podcast and just be a resource for you all to understand a little bit better. You know, we're trying to keep y'all a whole step ahead now. So
parents, providers, and everybody who got kids.
Exactly. So
we're going to get into the explanation of our icks.
Right.
So the first one I did was the mealtime. And it was when you bring your kids after mealtime and you're saying that they're hungry. So basically, a lot of centers are on USDA, or even if you're not on USDA, you have a schedule where your mealtime is at a specific time. So my mealtime is at 8:30, and you bring your child in. My mealtime is like 8 to 9. So if you bring your child in at 9:10 and you're talking about, they didn't eat breakfast, I'm not going to have any breakfast left, because from 9 or 8:30 to 9, we're eating breakfast. And at 9 o'clock, everything is dumped. And so you're bringing your child in at 9:10 saying that they didn't eat breakfast. There's no food. And USDA, if you're on USDA and you walk in, if they walk in and see their child eating at 9:10 and your breakfast is at 8:30 to 9, the center is going to get in trouble. That's that's something they have to fix. So it's not us being mean and we don't want to feed your child, but you do got to understand we do have our own rules and regulations that we have to abide by, because somebody else is coming in and inspecting us. And your daycare does get inspected by state, if they're accredited by the USDA. So we're just not saying this just to say it and be mean and we don't want to feed your kid. No. Because you want a good quality daycare, and to have a good quality daycare, we have to follow the rules of our state, or as the USDA, or we don't get paid for food. The USDA pays us for food. So if you're not doing by their rules, we're not getting paid for that.
Right.
So basically that's what it is. So if your daycare has a mealtime between whatever their mealtime is, just have your kid there. If you're we had somebody do a little stitch and she got mad at us and she was saying, as a single parent, I'm a single mom of 4 kids, and I had to do the same thing. I didn't have to go to work till 10 o'clock. And because I knew my kids had to, breakfast I used to get up early, take them so they can eat breakfast, so they can start their day at daycare on time, because by 10 o'clock, their day, the learning portion is about done. So I wanted them to get the full experience of daycare. So
also, I want to say, when it comes to meal times, you have to realize, if we have to stop everything that we're doing to feed a child that comes in late, it really does impact the learning and the experience of all of the other children. So if you got 13 kids in a class, and we have to stop, go to the kitchen, prepare a meal, come back, have that child sitting down eating while the other kids are doing other things. They're going to come try to eat their food. I mean, if you're working with toddlers, imagine like one toddler eating and then all the other toddlers like, I want food. They don't have to be hungry to want food, you know. So
but then also you got to think, even if you're coming in at 9, 10, you say, oh, you know, my kid hasn't had breakfast, and they're like, well, we can't feed them. The next mealtime is probably what? 11,
yeah.
Now your child is waiting. Even if I can give them crackers, that's not going to be fulfilling. Your child is waiting 2-3 hours now to eat lunch, and that's unfair for the child. And as a parent, yes, we're going to look at you some kind of way because you're basically saying you're okay with your child not eating. Mm-hmm. So the ick was parents bringing their children hungry after a scheduled mealtime, and you should know what time the kids eat.
Right.
And we're just saying, if your child needs to eat breakfast or lunch or whatever, make sure they're there on time. That's all. We wasn't trying to not feed your kid. We want your kids to eat.
And honestly, we will, like, y'all, listen. If a kid come in hungry, we're going to feed the baby.
We never said we wasn't going to feed
We ain't never said we wasn't going to feed the baby. We just saying it's annoying for us to have to stop to do something that should have already been done, or the child should have been there at a certain time. And because we understand things happen. Cars break down, car accidents happen. We understand delays happen, but
running late. But it's just it's an annoying thing to have to stop everything. Right. Make sure your child eats, because we're gonna give them.
And you gotta make sure you got enough staff, because at some centers, if your teacher is the cafeteria lady, they can't leave the kids to go to the cafeteria to make the food, or the kitchen to make the food. So it's really about just having a courtesy to the staff, having a courtesy to the other children in the center, and whomever else is responsible for caring for your kid or your child, because we want the best for all the kids. We just want y'all to work with us, not against us.
And if anything, grab a Pop-Tart. Bring them into this. I mean, the thing is, after your scheduled mealtime, you should know, okay, he's not going to be able to eat. So let me grab him something. Right. And it has to be something simple, because, of course, some centers don't allow outside food in the center because of allergies and stuff. So that's just like a whole different thing. But sometimes you can even call if you are running late, and if it's like 8:55 and you're, hey, I'm on my way, we're going to be a little late, can you just save him a plate? I appreciate that, because then I know, okay, I can save him a plate, make sure he gets all the components, because we have to make sure they have all the components, put it aside, and then when your child comes, he can sit and eat. I can have it off to the side, hey, put Johnny over there, and we can do what we got to do. It's less disruptive if you just either give us a courtesy call, or just go ahead, pick him up some Pop-Tart, something to eat, bring them in, and he can start his day, or they can start their day. So that's all. It wasn't nothing like we're not trying to feed your kid. We're not. That's not what we're saying. Okay.
So the next one I did, it was the cutoff time. So cutoff times are, let me explain what they are, because some people had questions. Cutoff times are, after a certain time, you can no longer bring your child in for care. So there are some centers that they're cut off. I saw somebody in comments, they said they cut off at 8:30 a.m. Doors locked. And that is early, okay? However, that's the centers, that's their rules. So, I mean, cutoff times depends. Some places don't have cutoff times. Some places, because there was another person in the comments said they had a parent bring a child in at 5:30, they closed at 6. For what? I don't know. But when I worked at my last center, that happened. We had a child come in at 4 or 5, something like that, and we closed at 6 at the time. And it was just like, I know, is she coming to drop her baby off? Okay, I guess. All right, cool. So things like that do happen. But here's why there is a cutoff time. Cutoff times are specifically to set up the schedule, set up the day. So at 9 o'clock, if I say, hey, no more kids can be allowed in at 9 o'clock, that helps me understand how many staff I'm going to need for the day. that helps me understand what type of materials I'm going to need to prepare for the children, how much food, if I'm preparing lunch, how much food I need to prepare for the children, because what lunch might be served at 11, but they start cooking at 9. You know, so if you bringing a kid in at 12 and they already made enough portions for 11 kids, and this you 12 child, you came in at 12 o'clock, then you know that's going to be difficult for them to be able to, okay, let me scrounge up something for this child to eat. Also, when it comes to preparing for the day ratio, so I try to explain this a little bit in comments. So there has to be a certain amount of staff for a certain amount of children, and if your child is 1 over the ratio, then we have to have another staff come into that classroom. So if your child is the 10th child, if your child is the 11th child of the 1 to 10 ratio, then as soon as we hit 11, another staff has to be, have another body in the room. So that can be difficult for especially larger centers where you trying to pull staff from one room or pull a staff from another room or whatever. So you can have some people in smaller centers, like my center, a smaller center. I might not even call someone in. So if at 9 o'clock I got 14 kids and all I need is 2 staff for the rest of the day, I'm calling those flex staff or those part-time staff that just come in as needed. I'm saying, hey, we don't need you today. And then when you show up, then I'm gonna be like, okay, hey, I do need you today. Can you please get here? And depending on how long it takes for that staff to get there, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours. So we just gonna be out of ratio for 2 hours. And that's not okay, because the reason we have ratio is to keep your children safe, to be able to supervise properly, and to be able to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And also DSS or licensing or whoever you have, your state licensing board, whomever, can walk in at any time. A parent can walk in at any time and say, wait a minute, y'all got too many kids in here. You know, and so that is why there is a cutoff time. That is why we have to be able to prepare for the day. So if your center says 9:30 is a cutoff time, unless you have a doctor's note or unless you let us know in advance, because that's what I do at my center. If you call or if you tell me the day before, hey, we got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, we're going to be in a little bit later, which is what all my parents do. I literally never have people come after the cutoff time. I don't experience that because we have that understanding. Also, I want to say that it's not illegal for us to refuse you to come into the center. We can refuse whomever we want at any time. Per your contract, per my provider contract, it says, hey, 10 o'clock is the cutoff time. If your child's not here by 10 o'clock, they will not be permitted to enter the premises, period. So that is how it works. Now, again, do we give grace in certain situations? Absolutely, we can. But we have that to our own discretion. So if little Susie is coming to school at 10:30 and it's because it was a traffic jam on Highway 33, then
of course
we're gonna be like, okay. As long as we're not over ratio, as long as we're not, doing things or whatever, Susie can come in. There is a center here in our city that literally don't have enough staff for the amount of students they have enrolled. So they open at 6. People are outside at 5 a.m. waiting for the doors to open so that
make sure that y'all can go in.
Because once ratio hit, it's over.
Oh my God.
They won't let you in. And there is a center that's doing that right now. So you have to make the cutoff time. It's very imperative that you follow the rules and regulations of your center, because it really makes the day go better, and it's really in the best interest of the children.
Yes. So on to the next.
Right.
Is Tylenol. I think it was a Tylenol. Okay, so this one,
I can't believe y'all was mad at us about this.
The Tylenol And I mean, and listen to the wording. I think a lot of people wasn't listening to exactly what was being said. What I said was, when you know your child has a fever, that means you know your child is sick.
Already know.
Give them Tylenol and you bring them in and you don't say anything to us. Then when the Tylenol wears off, which is about after nap time, maybe
3-4 hours,
your child has a fever, and we call you like, hey, your child has 101 point whatever fever, they need to go home. And then you're mad because I'm calling you to pick up your child. That was it. It had nothing to do with if I didn't know my child, blah, blah, blah. It was you being mad because I'm telling you to come pick your child up, and you don't act like you didn't know that your child had a fever when you knew your child had a fever. And the parent, use Motrin. The thing is, if your child has a fever, they have an infection, that more than likely they are contagious. Me personally, being a home daycare, if you bring your child in with a fever without me knowing, there's times where I'm like, just give them some Tylenol, we'll check them throughout the day. But if I don't know, and then they have something contagious and they get me sick, they get my personal kids sick, they get the other daycare sick, I'm going to have to close down. And then y'all going to be mad at me because I got to close down. Because Sue decided it was okay to bring her child with a fever because she got an infection. And with COVID being around and flu season and all these other things being around, you cannot get mad at us for being mad that you're bringing your sick child and you're masking it, trying to make it look like she's not sick or they're not sick. That is not fair for us as your daycare providers, and it's not fair for the other kids, and it's not fair for the other parents. Yes, we all have to work. Yes, we all have a job. Yes, some days we cannot. That's why
communication is key.
Backup plan, or you, even if you say, I'm not saying alternates will do this, but I will. Hey, they had a fever last night. I give them Tylenol. Just let me know. If they wake up, just call me. Because then you can go to your job and say, hey, my child is sick. They might call me. Give your job a heads up. I will be okay with that. Don't sneak them in. And we know the difference between a child is getting sick gradually and they end up with a fever, or they just wake up and they got a fever.
Right. It's
more than likely, you can tell.
And go ahead, Mom.
No, I'm just saying, we're not being mean. We're not trying to be insensitive. We got to look out for our health and safety, the kids' health and safety. And you never know what these other kids, some might have a very, hard time dealing with sickness. You don't know. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, if your baby comes in with RSV and you gave him Tylenol, and your child is 8 months old, gave him Tylenol, brought him to center, and then this 1-year-old gets RSV and goes to the hospital and is in the hospital for weeks. That is not fair to that family or that child that they're dealing with this sickness, because it inconvenienced you to keep your child at home. Is your job worth somebody else's child's life? No. So you have to be very considerate. Now, I understand, like we said, we understand that your job, people who have to go to work and everything like that. And it's hard for single parents. We understand it's hard for people that don't have family or support systems. But at the end of the day, the life, health, and safety of the children is forefront when it comes to our centers. And that's point blank, period. That's number one. Always life, health, and safety of our children. So.
And then me as a staff, you and your staff, you're letting your child come and infect. You don't know what issues I might have, or
autoimmune diseases.
So then now we got to call out, because there's times, I've had sickness just popping in because a child came sick, then now this child is sick, now listen, and then it comes back around, then I'm sick, and then my kid is sick, and then so it's like, it's better just to take care of it at home, and then you bring your child in. Like, if you keep them home sick, you can get them, good, and then the next day they might be better and then come. If you bring your child sick with a fever, you gonna be out.
You gotta be out
2 days.
Fever free for 24 hours, which means if it happened today, that means they cannot come tomorrow, and if they still have a fever tomorrow morning, they can't come the next day.
So it's it's more beneficial for you to call out that one day, get your child together. Because if they have a fever for more than a few days, then obviously there's something wrong. But some kids just have it for one day because they just fight the infection. Boom, they can come out the next day. If you bring your child to daycare, most daycares have it where they have to be fever-free to come back. And that's gonna, like she said, if they have the fever today, what's today, Tuesday? Thursday is the earliest they can come if they are done with the fever.
If they're done with the fever. Because if Wednesday they still got a fever, then they can't come Thursday either.
So it's like we're trying to help you out by just following the rules.
And your baby need rest. When children are sick, rest is the number one thing that helps them heal. Rest.
When you want to be laying down, you know what I mean? So what makes you think
you don't go to work when you're sick, so don't see your baby to school when they sick.
And if you do, then you know that's your business.
That's your business because you're an adult, but they not. So.
But okay, next one.
So mine was amoxicillin in their urine. So it's pretty much the same thing, same reason. So amoxicillin has a very strong odor. So when your child is on amoxicillin or in some other antibiotics, it's one that starts with a C. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, your urine stinks. It has a strong odor. And because we know the strong odor, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call you and say, hey, is your child on antibiotics? Then you're gonna say yes. Oh, how long has he been on antibiotics? Oh, I just gave it to him today. Oh, you gotta come pick up. You wanna know why? Because your child has been on antibiotics for 24 hours. So you can see reactions and make sure that they don't react to the antibiotics or any other medication. Whenever they start a medication, you need to start them. If you can, start on the weekend so you can monitor your child. And if you cannot, you got to sit out a day because we don't want your child. You give your child amoxicillin at 8, drop them off at 8:30, and then they have some sort of reaction at the center. They break out in hives or, all types of things, start throwing up. I actually had a child this week who had a bad reaction to his antibiotic this week. And last week. So it was like Thursday or Friday. And mom told me in that morning, she told me that morning she had started antibiotics. No, she told me the day before that she was going to start it. She started the day before, came in, said, hey, if he don't perk up, let me know. Because he had an ear infection. So we know that's not something that's, super contagious. Had an ear infection. If he don't perk up, let me know. He didn't perk up and he didn't eat his breakfast. And then when lunchtime came, he nibbled on it and it threw up. That's an adverse reaction to his medication. So you want to be able to monitor those things. And she came pick right up because we already had an understanding. She communicated with me. She let me know that they started the day before. She monitored the day before, noticed that he was a little bit off, but he hadn't had any type of severe reaction yet. So we went ahead and brought him the next day. So those are the things that you have to let us know because we don't want to call you in the middle of the day and say, hey, you got to pick up your child because they had an adverse reaction to this medicine. Or other antibiotics we use for other types of infections as well. So we know that he could be on medication that is for something that is contagious. And so we need to know. So if you come in today and you say, oh, my child has the flu, or not the flu, because most people don't do that, but my child has a stomach bug of some kind, and they started this medication yesterday. Well, that's very contagious. Mm-hmm. And he can't come because he could possibly give this bug to other children. And we know that and the only reason why we know about it is because we smelled the urine because you didn't tell us. So it goes kind of hand in hand with the Tylenol thing about the health of the children. If your child is not healthy, please do not bring them to the center. If your child has a fever, his own medication or anything like that, please, please, please let us know things. Tell us what's going on. We want to protect all of the children. We want to protect your child. And again, the life, health, and safety of the children is number one.
Crucial. All right, on to the next. Potty training.
Yeah.
Okay, so my ick was telling me your child is potty trained and then they get to the center and they just have accidents. and that means they're not potty trained. What we got was, well, you know, different environments. If a child is new, it's a new environment, all this stuff. We are not talking about new kids that are to the center that we don't know nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
This was kids that have been in our center, have been in our care, and the parents just say, hey, I've been potty training him and he's potty trained, knowing that they didn't potty train. So when they come to the center, if your child has one accident, okay, that's cool. And I mean completely potty trained, not in the process. There's a difference.
Right.
If we say, hey, we are potty training, then
right.
I always say bring lots of clothes.
Right.
But if you're saying he is potty trained, one accident, okay. Two accidents, if they having accidents all day, every time they pee, they are not potty trained. They are still training maybe. So
right.
That's why I'm like, y'all didn't listen. Y'all took things and made it personal, and it wasn't personal. I don't know you. I don't know who you're. I just know my kids.
I know.
I don't know you in New York who two kids is potty trained, but at school, but your providers know you, and if you have a good rapport, they understand that. Now, my family right now, I'm actually potty training 3 boys. And in the beginning of the potty training process, I said, if by week 3, if your kid is still having accidents, like 2-3 accidents, they're not ready. And that's an understanding. So if my parent comes, hey, Miss Mo, they're potty trained. And I'm like, no, here they're not potty trained.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's just 1 or 2 accidents a day, and then during the week, we good. You know, Monday's a little off, then Tuesday they're fine. Okay, we can get going. It wasn't. That's all. It wasn't like wasn't that deep.
And, right. You know, potty training is a very touchy, tricky thing to deal with, because all children are different, and we realize that all children have different experiences. And the best way to potty train a child that is in a child care center is to work with the parent. And so when we have situations where a child is peeing all the time, we know that, you know, they're not ready. And that's the same thing where that goes into my ick when I say we have to work with the parents. It's like my ick was, let me just explain it, was potty train all week during school, Monday through Friday. They're doing well, always drying to pull up, or always going to the potty on their own, or even when prompted or suggested. And then over the weekend, they come back, and on Monday, they're not potty, or they're just completely a mess. And that goes to consistency. So if I'm telling you at the center, we go to the potty every hour, or every 30 minutes, or every 15 minutes, and that's what we're doing, and that's how we potty train your child, because I don't blanket potty train. So where one child, I can tell them every 30 minutes to go to the bathroom, maybe I can tell another child every hour to go to the bathroom. So we don't blanket potty train. It's always specific to that child's needs. However, over the weekend, if I have a child who is always going to the bathroom on their own, going to the potty, and when I prompt them, and also we never have to change their pull-up, or is wearing underwear during the day and only a pull-up during that time. So we have different situations. And then on they go home, they're doing fine. They come back on Monday. We know that there has been a change in their pattern. It's okay. Sometimes we understand that sometimes you in the car and y'all on the way to the store, and you say, just go and you pull up. We know that happens. We know that that sometimes kids are different at home than they do at the center. We understand that happens as well. But what I'm saying is, when you come in on Monday and say, yeah, I just put a pull-up on them all weekend, I just didn't have time. I just didn't feel like doing it. Like, because I'm going to ask. Because on Monday, when the child is peeing everywhere, I'm going to be like, hey, we was doing so good last week. What happened? And you tell me, oh, yeah, I was tired this week. Or I just, I was being lazy. Or I just didn't feel like it. Yes, that's an ick. Because we're trying to accomplish a goal for your child. And then, so if you're not working with us, again, somebody in the comments said, how can you potty train a child without the parent? Yeah, that's my point. We can't potty train without parent. So we need you to step up in those situations. And even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it, send them to the potty. And eventually we'll be in underwear. I always potty train about 2 or 3 weeks. We good.
Girl.
I'm telling you.
1 week. This is our 3rd week. And when I'm not like Alicia, I blanket potty train. We go, like I said, I had 3 boys. We went first week every hour.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's an activity. Potty train, let's go.
All right.
Get on this train, we all go. Even the ones who know how to go potty, we all pottying at this time. Right. Got my little Lexa going out, potty train, let's go. Everybody go. We on week 3. One child, yesterday he had a little accident because it's Monday. My kids, and they're different ages. I got 2 turning 3 this year and 1 turning, he just turned 2 in December. So he's like newly 1.
So you're right behind him. Yeah.
And when I'm telling you, my boys, I'm the potty training queen. I've had a week where I've had a boy potty train in a week. I've had a little girl potty train before she was even 2 years old.
Yeah, the girls, and I will tell y'all, boy moms, boy dads, boy.
It's how you do it. Nope, because I got 3 boys. And all mine is potty.
No, I'm about to say, y'all got to be consistent with them boys. You really do. Boys, they can do it too. It seems more difficult because they might be a little more stubborn. But if you consistent, see, with girls, you can be a little bit lax with them. But if you stay consistent all the way through, you'll be all right. Potty train will be a breeze.
And I said,
look at y'all.
No pull-ups.
Let me see. I got 1 kid. I'm just trying to I'm like, please bring her in panties, please. She ready.
You know what I do? The week I start potty training, that weekend before, we start in potty training. Like I'll go Friday. Potty training next Monday. I need y'all to go this weekend, get them underwears and put them in underwears this whole weekend. Yeah. So the parents do that on Monday. Bring them on. If they don't bring me underwears, because they boys, we free balling. We free balling. I tell the parents that you didn't bring underwears. Okay, he free balling. We'll use pull-ups or nap time because I'm like, once they see it, parents will get on like consistent. But here at the daycare, and I mean now, like the kids are potty trained. Like here, but they good. They still struggling at home because we forgot to do. We didn't do it in the. They good here. One boy, if he does have an accident, I don't even have to tell him. He get up. Go change his pants, take his pull-up out. He do everything. I'm like, cool. But that's how, it's just because I'm very consistent. I have a smaller amount. But I'm just like, I think I need to write a book on potty training because I've worked in a center and I had 7 toddlers. And I got them all potty trained. Like,
that's what I'm doing. I said, I told, I got 1 parent, she been with me since the beginning. And I'm just like, this baby ready. We gonna get her some panties. I'm gonna buy her, and that's another thing. Well, this kind of off subject, but sometimes for the kids, I just be like, "Here's your potty package. We're ready to start," and it's like underwear and wipes.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
I like a potty package.
Yeah, this your potty package. We ready to start, and it's a little bundle. It don't gotta be a big bundle. Just like 3 or 4. A pack of underwear, a pack of wipes, one little outfit, Walmart pants and shirt or something like that. We ready to potty. We ready to potty train. Here's your potty package. Let's start. So that's a little incentive that I do for parents. So we can be like, give them the push. Like, we ready. So we just wanted to jump on here and let y'all know what's up. What's going on with these icks.
Wasn't personal.
Y'all begging for a part 2.
We're not. Listen, we don't want the smoke. I'm acting like I want the smoke, but I don't want the smoke.
Let me tell y'all stressed me out so bad last week.
We sorry. My family's like, Monique, icks are dangerous. I'm like, what? Like, these are rules and regulations.
It was so funny. It was so funny. Somebody in the comments was like, y'all be careful with icks. And she was like the third commenter. And then after that, it was just downhill.
Oh my God. That's why I don't trust people with my child. Man, we giving you reasons to trust us. We don't trust our parents.
Watch our podcast. I'm telling you, watch our podcast. We give you all the reasons. Our parents was in the comments letting y'all know what's up. We are here.
Shout out to my parents and my old and current. They was defending us.
Yeah, we turned them comments off. My parents said, turn them comments back on. We didn't get to see it till after we got off work. So
my niece was ready. Yeah, my niece, she rolling with her auntie. But the thing is, when you do go to a center, tour the center, get their contract, read the rules and regulations. It tells you right away. Read their handbook. Read what they expect you as a parent to do. Even when you get in that class, the classroom should have a little package about their classrooms, and it will tell the class the rules and regulations of that class. And if it doesn't fit into your family dynamic, don't put your kid in that daycare. If you know your schedule is weird and you're not going to make their cutoff time, then that daycare is not for you. It's not a bad daycare. The staff doesn't not like kids. Right. That's how they're running their daycare. Everybody was like, oh, you're going to lose business because you have these stuff. Well, in the scheme of things, if you are a parent and you come to my daycare and you don't like what I do, we're not going to fit. We're not going to mesh. That's why I have interviews and I have a whole thing laid out and I give it to the parent. And if they come to me and say, listen, I can't do this and this. If I close at 6 and you talking about you got to work till 7, we ain't going to fit because I'm closing at 6. If you got to go to work at 5, I do have an exception. I have one parent that comes in. And that just shows you the grace because that's what I was about to say. I was just about to say that. You do get grace. Come at 5 o'clock, and she's a single parent. I understand. Girl, bring them in so you can get to work. But please believe when she gets off work, she's right here to pick them up. She's not staying later or, got to go to the, no, she comes and gets her babies and she leaves. And that's just common courtesy. You're opening up way early than normal. So I'm going to make sure I get my baby on time. Right. So we're just saying that. Just talk communication. First, communication is key. Make sure that daycare fits your dynamic of your family. And then follow the rules and regulations. Please. Because you wouldn't have been offended if you followed the rules and regulations. You would have been like, oh, girl, yeah, I make sure my baby's on time. Right. I feed my child. Right. Not get so funny. But yes, read those handbooks. My handbook like this thick. And then parents, they'll say, because I do, okay, before you even come to my center, you got to do a walkthrough and a full orientation. And then we discuss together whether or not you should be a good fit. And I asked you to sit there and read the entire handbook, and I send you a digital copy of it, right? So this is how we do. However, if you take 4 minutes, and I know you didn't read the whole thing, I'm gonna be like, I know you didn't read it. I need you to read this because you need to know seriously what I have, what my rules are, what my regulations are, what my expectations. Because in my handbook it says I have children can expect, parents can expect, the provider can expect. That's what we do, and so we want to make sure that all of our expectations are met, and I want to make sure that all your expectations are met as well, and that's what most good providers do. And so make sure your child is a good fit in the center that they're going to. Make sure it's a good fit for not just your child, but for your family dynamic and for your lifestyle. Because some people don't agree with some of the teachings of some childcare centers. So it's not just about the rules and regulations. It's about your lifestyle and how you live. And just make sure y'all paying attention to those things. Yeah. All righty. Thanks for joining us. Next week, we are going to do the third recap of the parent test show. Yeah. I had to make sure. Yeah. And it's new parents, aren't they? Yes. Yes. So it's a whole new, I'm trying to excited about it. Yeah. So catch us next week Wednesday, and that's it.
Thank y'all for watching. Bye.
Bye.